There are moments in life that divide everything into two parts: the person you were before and the person you become afterward. For Daphne, that moment arrived the morning after Peter's bachelor party. The night before had felt normal. Peter was out celebrating, Daphne was home reading. Wedding plans were moving forward. The future looked secure. The future looked real. Then morning came, and suddenly nothing was secure anymore. At first, Daphne noticed something strange. Peter wasn't acting like himself. His texts felt different. His tone felt distant, like someone carrying a secret too heavy to hide. A secret that wanted to come out. Deep down, Daphne probably sensed it before he even spoke. Sometimes the heart notices danger before the mind catches up. The atmosphere felt wrong. The air felt heavier. Every second seemed stretched. And then Peter finally said the words. He was in love with Petra. Not confused, not questioning, not uncertain. In love. The woman he'd spent years calling his best friend. The woman he'd spent years insisting was practically family. The woman Daphne had never been worried about. In that moment, it felt as though reality itself had broken. Not because Peter loved someone else, but because suddenly every memory became suspicious. Every smile, every vacation, every inside joke, every glance between them. Everything Daphne had once ignored now looked different. It's a terrible feeling. Looking back at your happiest memories and wondering whether they were ever really yours. Wondering if you were standing inside someone else's love story the entire time. Wondering if the ending was decided long before you arrived. Peter tried to explain. Of course he did. People always try to explain after they've broken your heart. He talked about confusion, about emotions, about finally understanding what he felt, about realizing the truth. But none of those explanations changed the reality. The wedding was over. Their future was over. Their relationship was over. Just like that. 3 years gone. A house gone. A wedding gone. A future gone. The cruelest part wasn't losing Peter. It was losing everything attached to Peter. The home she'd moved into, the town she'd relocated to, the life she'd built around him. Everything depended on a relationship that no longer existed. And suddenly, Daphne had nowhere to go. The house belonged to Peter. Most of the furniture belonged to Peter. Most of the life belonged to Peter. Daphne found herself trapped in a town that was never really hers. A town she had only chosen because she loved him. Now he was staying, and she was the one who had to leave. Meanwhile, another life was falling apart across town. Miles's life. Because while Peter was confessing his love to Petra, Petra was ending things with Miles. The relationship that had lasted for years, gone. Just like that. 2 couples destroyed. 2 people abandoned. 2 hearts broken. All because Peter and Petra had finally decided to stop pretending. And then came the most awkward solution imaginable. Miles needed help paying rent. Daphne needed somewhere to live. Neither of them had many options. Neither of them wanted to face their exes. Neither of them wanted to start over alone. So somehow, the 2 discarded partners ended up becoming roommates. The arrangement was practical, nothing more. At least that's what Daphne told herself. Miles got rent money, Daphne got a place to stay. Simple, temporary, emotionless. Unfortunately, Miles was Miles, and nothing about him felt simple. The first thing Daphne noticed was chaos. Pure chaos. His room looked like a tornado had signed a lease. Clothes everywhere, records everywhere, tools everywhere, candy wrappers everywhere. Nothing matched. Nothing made sense. And somehow, Miles seemed perfectly comfortable living inside the disaster.
Compared to Daphne's carefully organized bookshelves, Miles looked like a man who treated cleaning as a personal insult. But underneath the mess, Daphne noticed something else. Pain. The same pain she carried. The same exhaustion. The same heartbreak. The same feeling of being left behind. Even if Miles hid it better, even if he buried it beneath weed smoke and bad habits, the pain was there. For the first time, Daphne started realizing something important. Peter and Petra weren't the only people suffering. She wasn't the only victim. Miles had lost someone too. Miles had been replaced too. Miles had been blindsided too.
And maybe, just maybe, that shared pain was beginning to create a strange connection between them. Not friendship, not yet. Definitely not romance. Just understanding. The kind that only exists between people who survived the same disaster. Still, Daphne refused to get comfortable. Every day she reminded herself of the plan. 108 days. Then she'd leave, find a new job, move somewhere else, start over. Forget Peter. Forget Petra. Forget Michigan. Forget all of it. It sounded simple, clean, logical, like turning the final page of a painful chapter. But life rarely follows the plans we make while heartbroken. And Daphne was about to learn that lesson the hard way. Because very soon, an unexpected invitation, a fake friendship, and a ridiculous idea involving social media would force Daphne and Miles much closer than either of them ever intended. And that is where their real story begins. Sometimes heartbreak makes people do strange things. Not because they're trying to move on, but because they're trying to survive. And the worst decisions often begin with the simplest question. What if I pretend I'm okay? The days following the breakup pass slowly, painfully slowly. Every morning, Daphne wakes up hoping the reality will feel less awful. Every morning, she discovers it doesn't. Peter is still gone. The wedding is still canceled. And her future is still in pieces. The hardest part isn't crying anymore. The hardest part is existing. Going to work, buying groceries, making coffee, doing all the normal things while feeling completely broken inside. It's exhausting. Like carrying an invisible weight nobody else can see. Meanwhile, Peter and Petra seem perfectly happy, at least online. Their social media pages are overflowing with smiles, pictures, comments, vacation plans, family gatherings, new memories. As if they didn't destroy 2 lives to be together. As if nothing bad happened at all. Every photo feels like a knife. Every caption feels personal. Every update reminds Daphne of everything she lost. Yet she keeps looking. Again and again and again. Even though it hurts. because heartbreak has a strange addiction to pain.
One evening, Daphne finds herself sitting alone in the apartment, scrolling through another batch of photos. Another collection of happy memories she wasn't invited to share. And that's when Miles walks into the room. At first, neither says much. That has become normal. They live together. But they're still basically strangers. Broken strangers. But strangers nonetheless. Miles grabs a drink, looks at Daphne, looks at her phone, and immediately figures out what she's doing. Checking their pages again? Daphne doesn't answer. Because the answer is obviously yes. And somehow, that's even more embarrassing. Miles doesn't judge her, probably because he's guilty of the exact same thing. After all, Petra didn't just leave Daphne. She left him too. For a moment, they sit together in silence. Two people staring at the wreckage of their former lives. Two people wondering what they did wrong. Two people secretly hoping for answers they'll never receive. Then something unexpected happens. The conversation starts flowing. Not because either of them wants to talk, but because they're tired of suffering alone. They talk about Petra. They talk about Peter. They talk about relationships, about betrayal, about confusion, about how strange life feels now. And for the first time, Daphne laughs. A real laugh. Not a polite one, not a fake one. A genuine laugh. It surprises her because she can't remember the last time she laughed since the breakup. Miles has a talent for saying ridiculous things. Half his observations sound insane. The other half somehow make perfect sense. And together, they create a strange kind of comfort. Hours pass. Drinks disappear. The conversation grows easier. The tension between them begins to fade. For the first time since moving in, they don't feel like unwanted roommates. They feel like teammates. Then Miles casually throws out an idea. A stupid idea. A reckless idea. An idea that should have been rejected immediately. Instead, it changes everything. What if they make Peter and Petra jealous? Daphne immediately dismisses it. Because that's ridiculous, immature, completely absurd. Which is exactly why they keep talking about it. The more they discuss it, the funnier it becomes. The more possible it starts to sound. The plan is simple. Nothing serious, nothing complicated. They'll take photos together, post them online, look happy, look adventurous, look like they're moving on. That's it. No actual relationship, no real feelings, just appearances. On the surface, it sounds like revenge. But deep down, it isn't really about Peter and Petra. It's about control. For months, Daphne has felt powerless, abandoned, humiliated, forgotten. This plan gives her something she hasn't felt in a long time. Choice. Miles understands that feeling because he's been struggling too, watching Petra move on, watching everyone celebrate her happiness, watching people act like his heartbreak doesn't matter. He wants control back too, even if only a little. Eventually, the joke becomes a possibility. The possibility becomes a discussion. The discussion
becomes a plan. And before either of them realizes it, they've agreed. Of course, neither of them notices the real danger. The danger isn't fake dating. The danger isn't social media. The danger isn't revenge. The danger is spending time together.
Because every friendship begins somewhere. Every connection begins somewhere. Every love story begins somewhere. Usually when nobody is paying attention. Usually when nobody expects it. Usually disguised as something else. And Daphne and Miles are about to spend a lot more time together. Far more than either intended. Far more than either thinks is safe. Because the fake photos are only the beginning. Soon they'll start exploring the town together, sharing secrets together, creating memories together. And without realizing it, Daphne may be walking directly into another love story, one far more complicated than the first.